Welcome to the 1957 Pescara Grand Prix for the 1957 Grand Prix season for the F1, or for F1. This was the longest track in the F1 history, being 16 miles long, or almost 16 miles long. It's like 15.8 something miles long, which would have been, actually no, it's actually 16.032. I think the 15 was without the chicane before the finish line. So that would have rounded out to 25.801 kilometers. Which is just thinking that this track is actually bigger than the Nürburgring is kind of weird to me. Because honestly, I never felt... I didn't really feel that fatigue during the last. I think it's because you only really have the road course C section of this track to worry about, the bottom of the triangle. Two other sides of the triangle is super easy because you just go down the straight, flat out. And since you're going fast, it doesn't really, get tiring. As we absolutely just had a phenomenal start and got to the lead so early. And now we're leading Fangio, who was still the leader, now it is second. And I believe, if I'm correct, was the original winner. I think I could be wrong, hold on. Let's see, who was the actual winner? Sterling Moss was the actual winner. Not Fangio. Fangio got the pole. That's probably what I'm thinking. Is the who got on the pole. Now, obviously we're doing VR. This is a post-commentary race, obviously. We'll keep it through it all the way, because I wanted to talk a little bit more, even though I think I've already talked about some of this stuff already before, is you see Harry Schell. That's who is in third right now. I couldn't catch who was in fourth there. I looked too quickly. Now, this race isn't perfectly clean. There's a couple of times where we hit like a guardrail or hay bales. When I do hit a hay bale, we just chalk it up to in real life. I would have just ran right through them. Me hitting a wall, we're just gonna say we somehow got minor damage. Really no way we could do it, because I don't feel like having damage in this game, because one, it doesn't really work the way I wish, especially with the mechanical damage, and also because it just doesn't look good. And also I just think SR courses just works a lot better without damage, especially for the AI, because you can actually still have them race instead of they break something, they're gone. It's kind of like GTR 2. If you have damage on and you have them at a really aggressive level, they would wreck out. Like all of them would wreck out. Like you have a 60 car lobby or 60 car field, and you're part of that 60 car field, you're the only one left after like 10 to 15 laps. Now, really the reason why we won this race is because of that start. We got so far ahead where we didn't have to worry about anybody else, and we were kind of just setting our own pace. They would kind of catch us down the straightaways. We weren't too fast down the straights, but there were certain sections that I kind of memorized through this lap where I could gain on them pretty easily. Like I started remembering what it was, because it's not the most corners, if I remember correctly. I think Pescara did not have the most corners. Pescara was just longer, because I believe the Nürburgring still had the most corners, like 100 turns or something like that. 100 something turns. This track really, I would say about half of that, because half the lap you're just going straight flat out, and the other half of the lap you're going through the windy turns, and not a lot of them are technically. There's not a lot of straights in between, so technically you're not gaining multiple corners at the same time like a maneuvering where you get a straight turn, a short, very short straight into another turn, and then it switches back or something like that. Because this is a public road, so the only times it curves is when it needs to. Now, I only did 3 laps. I was tempted to do 4 after that last lap, because I honestly, this attempt I did, because I did 2 other attempts before I actually got this one, where it was actually pretty decent. I was tempted to do another lap, because on this run, I was feeling perfect. Like, I was feeling like, I felt great. Now, who would have known, or who knows how that last lap would have been, because I think, yeah, we were about to lap people on our actual last lap here with this 3-lapper. So who knows if I would have gotten wrecked by a lapper or something. But Fangio would have finished second, which I believe he does, so that was realistic. It's just who won was different. There was also, surprisingly to me, there was only one Ferrari entered in this race, which kind of, I mean, besides the fact that there was a lot of Maseratis, it's kind of weird to me, because I would expect there would at least be a couple more Ferraris, like at least 3 Ferraris, but, since their own, I guess. And also in this race there were 2 Americans and there's 5 British. No, 6 British. Right. Yeah, 6 British drivers. There was 1 Argentinian driver. You had 3 Italian drivers, 1 French driver, a Swedish driver, I believe a Spanish driver, and Australia? Yeah, Australian driver. Let me make sure about the Spanish driver. Yep, Spanish, okay. Just making sure Paco was actually a Spanish driver, because I was looking at the flag and just making sure it was the right flag. As you see us down one of the 2 straights of this triangle, one of the 2 sides that are straights on this triangle. It's kind of how I map it out when I race this race. It's like you have 3 different sides, you have 2 sections. One section is the road course side of the triangle, and the other 2, or the second section is the 2 sides of the flat out straights besides the chicane at the end of the lap. Also, I'm thinking of doing the 4 hours of Pescara, but not 4 hours, because I do bits of race. I do 30% of a race. So that would be around, I think it's an hour and like 20 minutes. So in laps, that's 7 laps, I think. But I'm not going to do that one in VR, because that's just too much. I can do 30 minutes in VR and that's okay. But anything past 30 minutes, if it's not like a couple minutes over 30 minutes, then I just can't do it. But if it's like 35, maybe even 40 minutes, that's why I was tempted to do a 4th lap, because I was like, I was feeling pretty good. I could have probably done a 4th lap. But eventually I didn't do it. The reason why, or that is the reason why, because I wasn't doing VR when I did a Targa Folio in 1966, or was it 67? Or was it 65? I think it was 65. When we wrecked when we were upstairs. I kind of want to redo that. I also kind of want to redo that 24 hours of Le Mans one I did. No, I'm gonna keep it. 'Cause I know I do. I should have just done like this post commentary thing. I don't like cutting videos up like that, but I need to leave it because if I become a perfectionist, I'm gonna have to keep redoing videos, and I don't feel like doing that. So I'm just gonna leave it as it is, because I don't feel like changing it and then losing my mind every time. Because I will lose my mind eventually. Down at the first lap at the beginning of the chicane there. I think this lap was the 30th lap I did. Was it the cleanest lap I did? I can't remember. I think this was my fastest lap, but it was definitely not the cleanest lap, I don't think. If I remember. Because I believe one of these corners kind of overshot. I think I overshot the chicane corner. And then the corner coming up to the first long straight. Now we're about, I'd say an average of about 25 seconds ahead of them. Because in this track, the relative freaks out a lot. I think it's mostly because of all these roads peeling off on the track map that it gets kind of distraught. So it kind of just flings everywhere, you know. I'm definitely not the fastest person on this track and on VR. I don't say I'm the fastest. But that's why I'm just having fun. And if I don't feel like I'm having fun in a certain like race I'm doing, I don't post it, or I just don't finish it. Every race that you see that I post now, I was good enough, or I felt good enough to post. I have to leave every other video the way it is, even though I'm gonna hate myself. Also, that right there, it wasn't really that bad, because technically there was no collision, so we could have said I knocked all the stuff down. And I believe there was still a race. I know there was a race in 61 for World Sports Car Series, and that's the 4 hours of Pescara. But I'm pretty sure there was more racing here after. And if not, it's kind of sad because I thought there was more race. Oh no, it ended. It ended after that sports car race. It ended after that sports car race in the couple of Cabero, or did I say that right? Arcabero? No, I didn't say. Arcaboo. There we go. I think That's the closest I'm gonna get being able to say that correctly, because I'm not profound in the Italian language or any language at that. I'm not even really that good in English. I'm just bad at speaking in general. That's why if I ever had to do a public speaking role, I would probably pass the work, because I would have died here in embarrassment or well, yeah, pretty much embarrassment. I can't really say anything else. So as we come through, this is Promance, coming up to Saint Mara, or Maria, Santa Maria here. We're coming up to it, we're not there yet. We're coming up to the little switchback that we have before we enter the actual city itself. And that's coming up after this little left-hander into a right-hander after a little bit of, or this left-hander, straight away, right-hander, a little bit of straight, and then it kind of goes left and right, or right and left, and then it goes into a right-left switchback into the city of Santa Maria. Or the village of Santa Maria. As really the only times I've hit the wall is really because the gear got stuck. You know, I just never could get used to that for some reason. And also, I believe on the last lap we got stuck here. We kind of went off a little bit. So now, if I remember correctly, we're not technically 100 seconds ahead. I think we're more or less like about 80, 75 seconds ahead of the field. But as I said before, it freaks out because I believe all these roads around here kind of just freak out the relative a little bit. So now we're in Santa Maria, Village Santa Maria here. And you can see, this is honestly the best village, best looking village I've been in at this track. I really like the way this is, and also I just like this complex of corners. Being able to go under this bridge is really kind of cool. I really like tracks where they have bridges in them, or underpasses, or something like that. It's nice. It's variety that I like because you get a little something different instead of just elevation changes. There you go over or under, or you have it over under in the same track like a Paramount Ranch in I believe it was California that track was existing at. So I believe it's right here after we go up a dirt mound. I think we come up over here to the corner coming out to the longest straight, or one of the long straights where we nicked the wall, I believe. Or maybe it's the hay bales down at Mont Sabon? Around the Milano Strait. As I look over, I see Sterling Moss in third, Harry Shell in fourth. Can't say anybody else besides Fangio being second, which that hasn't changed. We're halfway through this, actually we're a little bit halfway through this lap. We're coming up to our last lap. Looked at our time. Last lap was an 11-seconder, and I believe this one was like a 10-seconder. 10-second, I think it was 40-something seconds, like 10-minute, 48-second, I think, lap time. This lap, I believe, somewhere around that range. And if I did hit the hay bales here, I think I could have went a little bit faster if I didn't hit the hay bales. It was either here on this lap we hit the hay bales or next lap. And I know for sure it's this lap where we hit the hay bales entering the chicane, I believe. Now, we're on the Madonna Straight. All the way down to the chicane, coming to the finish line. I really wish there was Amelia. I really wish, even if somebody had a downgrade just a little bit, or was able to make a short route type version of that, or make it, if somebody can make that track and make it the way, like nowadays, where it's a rally stage type event, or maybe make the Pan American race that they used to have in Mexico, because that could work, because you could just make it how many miles it was per stage, and that would be perfect, honestly. Just make sure you have. Just make sure it's. I really wish we had the two events I wish we had was a Pan American Road Race and Amelia. It was a swap with the hay bales, but it's hay bales. Even though it didn't feel like hay bales or look like it hit hay bales, it was a hay bale. The Amelia Pan American race, we need that. Eventually we need it. What else is there? Or what else was I gonna say? The Amelia, if somebody ever made it in the full 1,000 miles, what I wish that person could do is make a separate route for the Tuscan Cup, because that would be nice. And maybe if you could somehow make a hill climb for the Exuma Cup, that would be nice too. And maybe the Cup of, what do you call it? What's up? Cup of the Alps, there we go. So now we're on the last lap. As you see there at the top, we're starting to catch some lap cars, and we get really close to catching the lap cars. If we had the next lap, if we did do 4 laps, if I realized I could do another lap, I would have caught them. But I just honestly was kind of happy that I didn't, because I didn't want to know what would have happened. I didn't want to wreck, pretty much. I wanted to get home, and I was like, this is the closest I've been to finishing this race. It's not screwed up now. Even though I screwed up a couple times, it's not too major to where it was like a race wreck or something. Even though real life, maybe, if I hit a guardrail sign because it's an open loop car, it probably would have been a race ending crash, but not for an Assetto Corsa race, you know. Not for like my standard of what would have been a race ending race with Assetto Corsa with no damage. Like if I got stuck on my roof, I got stuck on my roof, that's the end of the race. But if I wrecked really hard, I would have probably been like the same way, but I really, once I think I go off in the switchback, I really toned it down a lot. And then I kind of mess up the corner, the Silvano corner, because the first gear wouldn't go into gear, and it just kind of floated out, but it wasn't too bad of a hit. Also, it was hay bales too, so if anything, I would have probably just kind of grind through them and just been fine. And then did the same thing as I did last lap through there, and just knocked down a sign, even though they would have been gone from last lap, because I already hit them. I think we're at spot 4, I think, right now. I believe that's how you pronounce that section of the racetrack. Or at least coming up to it. Or we're at Raspy, I don't remember where we're at actually. Because I think this track, technically, I don't think it actually, because it goes through multiple cities, but the actual finish line, or starting line, start-finish, is in Pescara, so that's why it's called the Pescara Circuit, because it technically starts at Pescara, so it makes sense, call it Pescara, and that's why when they do the expedition races, they call it the Arcabu. I don't know how to say it, but I'm trying. That's why they named it that, because that's technically, I believe, the area of the track, I believe, or the area of what the circuit is. I believe they classify it as something like that. It's like the Alps mountain. Targafolio being, I think at a certain point, actually on the island that they were calling it, Iridar or something else, I can't remember exactly, but they call it Targafolio because there was also the Capafolio, which, that's why they still had the folio name, because the folio was actually that area of the track, where the track was the area, or the area of folio, or Targafolio, you know. What else was there? Mille was 100 miles, or 1,000 miles, so. And it's around Italy. I really think, you know, Italians have it best with motorsports, honestly. They have natural racing blood, I feel. They had so many cool stuff going on. I really wish that Mille was still like the way it was, even though I like it now, because if I ever wanted to do it, I don't have to worry about actually winning, more or less just finishing, because it's more or less a tour/rally race, and I kind of like that. It's more like a tour/rally race, because you get to tour, obviously, the Italian landscape, and there we go, off. Yeah. So this is when I realized, I was like, I shouldn't, you know, push it, since I've already done what I needed to be out this far in front of the field, so why try to make more and more time, and try to beat my lap time and possibly wreck? Because I don't want to do that, because then that means I have to restart again. So I got really angry before I did this race when I kept having to restart, because I was like, please, why? Because I would think, oh, I got this corner perfect. Nope. This run I had it pretty well. Besides a couple minor infractions. I still really like this section. Being able to go underneath the tunnel like that and seeing the fans up there watching down on us. Watching us enter and then watching under us, or under them, going through the tunnel. Coming back near to the Milano Strait. After these couple corners that lead us back out there. Now we're back on that Milano Strait. For the last time here in this 3-lap event, real life would have been 18 laps, with a 2-hour race. and 30% of that would 18 laps, 30% of that would have been 5.8 laps, so it would have actually technically been 6 laps. No, not technically 5. No, it wasn't 5.8, it was like 5.4, so I would have rounded up to 5 actually. I was thinking of only doing 4, since it was only a little bit over. It would have been technically 40 laps, or 40 minutes, since it's like 10 minutes per lap, right? But now I was like, nah, let's do 3. And then literally right here, I'm thinking, I could have done another lap. Because once you get out of the road course, like the windy road course section of the actual track, it's really just smooth sailing. You just have to get your braking zone, your shifting right. And if you don't get your shifting right, and you mess up one of the gears, like we're about to show you here, not on purpose, but by accident, you can see where it kind of messes you up. As you can hear it, it's just grinding. I'm trying to get it to work, but it's not working. Actually, when I was racing it, I remember that being a lot tougher lick. And that wasn't even that bad. Okay, well, yeah, that really would have not even been even close to racing there. So honestly, I think I just gave myself a lot of trouble, because I think that race was actually pretty decent, besides like really only the 2 hiccups I can think of that were really bad, like this incident up here in the last lap, and then kind of going off a little bit at the switchback. I mean, that one corner that we missed both laps, or on the last 2 laps, I mean, if there was those concrete blocks were a real thing, I actually hit them, I would have probably had a different result. This would not even been a thing. Since they were run through, or be able to go through them, I just act like there was some type of like pylon cone or something. I think here we also actually messed up first gear or something. No, I think we kind of almost overshoot it again. We overshot it again, but we barely tapped the wall also. So I mean, we definitely wasn't clean, but it wasn't as bad as I originally thought it was. As we come up to the finish, you can see the results. As obviously Fangio's second, Shell being able to get the second, and then Sterling Moss in third, or fourth, I mean. Shell in third, Fangio in second, and I'm the winner.